The battle lasted only 4 hours, but it changed the galaxy forever. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance and watched the last Zephyrian ships flee into hyperspace. Around him, the wreckage of the alien fleet drifted. "Silently through space! Damage report!" Jake ordered. Lieutenant Commander Pete Williams checked his displays. "Minimal losses, sir. We lost 3 destroyers and 1 cruiser. The aliens lost 185 ships. 15 escaped. Casualties? 230 human casualties. We estimate over 50,000 alien casualties." Jake nodded grimly. The numbers told the story of a complete victory, but he took no joy in the deaths. War was always terrible, even when it was necessary. "Sir, we are receiving surrender signals from 12 damaged alien vessels," the communications officer reported. "Captain Rodriguez, take your squadron and secure the alien ships. I want prisoners for questioning." Captain Lisa Rodriguez had been waiting for this order. Her ship, the USS Liberty, had taken some damage, but was still fully operational. "Understood. Admiral, moving to secure enemy vessels." Lisa's boarding teams found the alien survivors in shock. These warriors had conquered dozens of star systems, but they had never faced defeat like this. The humans had destroyed their fleet using weapons the Zephyrians had dismissed as primitive. Among the prisoners was Sub-Commander Thexalar, the highest-ranking survivor. Lisa questioned him personally in the Liberty's brig. "Your weapons were supposed to be harmless," Thexalar said bitterly. "Simple projectiles cannot penetrate advanced energy shields." "You assumed that because you never tested it," Lisa replied. "Our scientists found the weaknesses in your shielding. Your own arrogance blinded you to the possibility. How long have you been planning this trap?" 1 year. The year you gave us to surrender. We used every day to prepare for this moment." Thexalar stared at her in amazement. "You planned for war while pretending to consider surrender?" "We never considered surrender. We only considered how to win." Meanwhile, Engineer Commander Steve Parker led salvage teams through the alien wreckage. Every piece of Zephyrian technology was valuable for study and reverse engineering. "Steve, what are you finding out there?" Admiral Morrison asked over the communication channel. "Their technology is impressive, sir, but not as advanced as they claimed. Most of their systems are built for fighting other energy-based weapons. They never prepared for kinetic attacks. Can we use any of it?" "Absolutely. Their sensor systems are far better than ours. Their engines are more efficient. We can combine their technology with our weapons to make something even better." Captain Ben Clark supervised the cleanup of the battlefield. His hidden weapons platforms had performed perfectly, but now they needed to be secured and prepared for future conflicts. "Admiral, all hidden platforms are accounted for," Ben reported. "The aliens never detected most of them, even during the battle." "Excellent work, Ben. Keep those platforms active. This war might not be over yet." Jake was right to be cautious. 3 days after the battle, long-range sensors detected another alien fleet approaching the solar system. But these ships were different. They came broadcasting peaceful intentions and requests for negotiation. The new arrivals were from the Corvan Republic, one of the species that had been conquered by the Zephyrians decades ago. Their leader, Ambassador Zeth Mira, came aboard the USS Defiance to speak with Admiral Morrison. "Admiral Morrison," Zeth Mira said, "my people have waited 20 years for someone to defeat the Zephyrian collective. You have given us hope." "What do you want from Earth?" Jake asked carefully. "Alliance. The collective rules through fear and superior technology, but you have proven that their technology can be beaten. Other conquered species are already rebelling." Jake considered this carefully. Humanity had won 1 battle, but the galaxy was vast. Earth would need allies to survive what was coming. "What can you offer us?" "Knowledge, star charts, information about other Zephyrian fleets, and most importantly, we can tell you about their home world." Over the following weeks, more alien species arrived at Earth. The Zephyrian defeat had spread across the galaxy faster than light speed. Conquered peoples everywhere were rising against their oppressors. Captain Alex Turner was promoted to admiral and given command of the new human expeditionary force. His job was to help liberate other worlds from Zephyrian control. Admiral Turner, your first mission is the Altair system, Jake briefed him. The Zephyrians have a major base there. The local population is ready to rebel, but they need military support. Understood, sir. How many ships am I taking? 50 vessels. A mix of our upgraded warships and captured alien technology. Show. The galaxy that humans keep their promises to their allies. Lieutenant Amy Davis was promoted to commander and put in charge of the new Alien Technology Division. Her job was to study captured Zephyrian equipment and find ways to improve human weapons. Amy, the President wants to know how long it will take to upgrade our entire fleet, Jake asked during one of their weekly meetings. 6 months for basic improvements, sir. Full integration will take 2 years, but each upgraded ship will be twice as effective as our current vessels. Good. We need every advantage we can get. The galaxy was changing rapidly. Species that had been enslaved for decades were fighting for freedom. The Zephyrian collective, once the dominant power, found itself fighting rebellions on dozens of worlds. Captain Danny Foster led a task force to the Vega system, where human settlers had been attacked by Zephyrian raiders. His hidden asteroid weapons had been so effective that he was now an expert in defensive warfare. Danny, how are the colonists? Jake asked when Foster returned from his mission. Safe now, sir. We destroyed the raiding fleet and set up defensive platforms around their worlds. The Zephyrians won't be back there anytime soon, but the biggest change was in human society itself. The victory over the Zephyrians had united Earth like never before. National boundaries seemed less important when facing threats from across the galaxy. Ambassador Julie Harrison was appointed as Earth's first galactic representative. Her job was to coordinate with the growing alliance of free worlds. Julie, how many species have joined our alliance? Jake asked during a diplomatic briefing. 37 so far, sir. More are requesting membership every week. They all want the protection that comes with being humanity's ally. And our obligations to them? We help them fight for freedom, and they share their knowledge and resources with us. It's a fair trade. 6 months after the Great Battle, Jake received an unexpected visitor. It was former War Admiral Keth Mora, who had somehow survived the destruction of his flagship. The alien commander was now a prisoner of war, but he had requested a personal meeting with the human admiral who had defeated him. Admiral Morrison, Keth Mora said, as guards escorted him into Jake's office. I have come to ask you a question. What question? How did you know? How did you see through our superiority when every other species simply surrendered? Jake studied the fallen alien. Commander. Keth Mora looked older and more tired than during their first meeting. Defeat had humbled him. You made 2 mistakes, Jake said finally. First, you underestimated us because our technology looked primitive. Second, you gave us time to prepare instead of attacking immediately. But your weapons truly were primitive, simple projectiles against advanced energy systems. That was your first mistake. Just because something is simple does not mean it is ineffective. Sometimes the old ways work better than the new ways. Keth Mora nodded slowly. And the second mistake? You assumed that giving us time to think would make us more afraid. Instead, it gave us time to plan. Humans are very good at planning when our survival is at stake. I studied your military history before the invasion, Keth Mora said. You have fought many wars among yourselves. I thought that made you weak and divided. Those wars taught us how to fight. Every human commander knows that battles are won by strategy, not just by superior weapons. You relied too much on technology and not enough on thinking. Keth Mora was quiet for a long moment. What will happen to me now? That depends on you. You can remain a prisoner, or you can help us understand Zephyrian technology and military tactics. Your knowledge could save lives on both sides. You would trust a former enemy? Enemies can become allies. That is another thing humans have learned from our history. 1 year after the Great Victory, Admiral Morrison stood on the observation deck of the New Earth Defense Station. The structure was built using both human engineering and alien technology. It represented the future of human space power. Captain Rodriguez joined him at the viewing window. The anniversary celebration is starting, sir. Below them, a parade of warships passed by the station. Human vessels flew alongside ships from dozens of allied species. The Terran coalition now protected half the galaxy. Lisa, do you ever wonder what would have happened if we had surrendered to the Zephyrians? No, sir. That was never really an option. Humans don't surrender their freedom to anyone. Jake smiled. The galaxy is learning that lesson. Freedom is not something you give up for safety. It is something you fight to protect. The parade continued for hours. Ships from Earth, from the liberated worlds, and even from former Zephyrian colonies, all united under the banner of the Terran coalition. The aliens had mocked Earth's outdated warship. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship. The Earth defense ship Vigilant was not the biggest ship in space, but it was home. Jake looked at the screens showing space around Earth. What he saw made his blood run cold. Dozens of alien ships filled the darkness. Ships he knew well, ships that belonged to their friends. For 20 years, humans had worked with 7 alien races. They called themselves the Galactic Coalition. The aliens had taught humans many things. The Zephyrians showed them how to build better engines. The Nexari, who looked like living crystals, taught them about energy. Humans thought they were friends. Dr. Lisa Grant walked onto the bridge. She was Earth's top expert on alien life. Lisa had spent years learning about different alien cultures. She had eaten dinner with Zephyrian families. She had watched Nexari children play in their crystal gardens. Ambassador Veltar of the Zephyrians was someone she trusted completely. They had worked together for 10 years. Jake, something is wrong, Lisa said. Her voice shook. I just got a message from Veltar. He won't look at me. He keeps talking about protocols and security measures. Jake nodded. He had been getting strange reports all morning. Human colonies throughout space had gone quiet. The last messages were confused and scared. People talking about alien ships landing without warning. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Blake ran onto the bridge. His uniform was messy and his face was red from running. Captain, you need to hear this, he said. Ryan played a recording on the main screen. The voice belonged to Commander Sarah Webb from New Terra Colony. This is New Terra Colony calling. Earth. Zephyrian ships are landing in our main city. They're not responding to our calls. Wait. They're opening their ships. Armed soldiers are coming out. They're surrounding our buildings. I don't understand what's happening. These are supposed to be our friends. They're pointing weapons at civilians. Captain, they're forcing people into groups. They're loading them onto transport ships. This isn't a friendly visit. This is an invasion. Earth, please help us. Please send help before... The message cut off. Static filled the speakers. Lisa's face went white. That's impossible. The Coalition has laws about this. We have treaties. We have agreements. More reports came in. Mining Station Alpha had been taken over by Krugan soldiers. Research Post 7 was surrounded by Thaxian warships. Trading Hub Omega had been captured by Vorthon forces. Every human settlement outside Earth's solar system was under attack. Admiral Patricia Hayes appeared on the communication screen. She was the head of Earth's defense forces. Her gray hair was pulled back tight, and her blue eyes were hard as steel. All ships, this is Admiral Hayes. Earth is now under blockade. I repeat, Earth is under blockade. 7 alien fleets are surrounding our solar system. They are demanding we surrender. Jake looked at his crew. They all stared at the screens in shock. These aliens had been to Earth many times. They had shaken hands with human leaders. They had signed peace agreements. They had promised to protect humanity. "What do they want?" Jake asked. Admiral Hayes read from a document. "They say humans are a threat to galactic peace. They want all humans to move to special worlds where they will watch us. They say we are too violent and too unpredictable to be free. If we refuse, they will attack Earth." Dr. Grant laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "Too violent? We haven't started a single war since joining the coalition. We've helped them solve disputes. We've shared our food, our music, our art. How are we violent?" Ryan pulled up tactical displays. The numbers were bad. Very bad. "Captain, they have 400 ships. We have 12. Their weapons are stronger than ours. Their shields are better than ours. They taught us everything we know about space combat." Jake walked to the front of the bridge. Outside the windows, he could see Earth below, blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown continents. 7 billion humans lived on that world. They had no idea that their friends had become their enemies. "How long do we have?" Jake asked. 6 hours, Admiral Hayes said. "They want our answer in 6 hours. Complete surrender or they start shooting." Lisa sat down hard in a chair. 20 years of friendship, 20 years of working together, 20 years of trust. All lies. The bridge went quiet. Everyone was thinking the same thing. How could this happen? How could species they had trusted completely turn against them so quickly? Jake thought about his daughter Emma. She was 8 years old and loved to draw pictures of aliens. She had a Zephyrian stuffed animal that she carried everywhere. She called it Zeph and told it bedtime stories. What would he tell her? How would he explain that Zeph's real family wanted to hurt humans? Ryan was reading more reports. "Captain, it gets worse. They're using our own systems against us. The defense platforms we built together, they know how to shut them down. The communication networks we share, they're blocking our signals. They know exactly where all our ships are and what weapons we have." Jake realized the horrible truth. The aliens had not just betrayed them. They had planned this for years. Maybe from the very beginning. Every piece of technology they had shared was designed to make humans weak and dependent. Every friendship was fake. Every smile was a lie. "Admiral," Jake said into his communicator, "what are your orders?" Patricia Hayes was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke, and her voice was like iron. "We fight. I don't care if we only have 12 ships. I don't care if the odds are impossible. Humans don't surrender. We never have, and we never will." Jake smiled for the first time that day. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of a man who had been pushed too far. "You heard the Admiral. Battle stations. Let's show these aliens what humans do when their backs are against the wall." Dr. Kevin Murphy was having the worst day of his life. He was an archaeologist, someone who studied old civilizations. His job was to dig up artifacts and learn about races that lived long ago. He had been working on a planet called Kepler 442b for 3 months. It was far from Earth, far from the war that had just started. Kevin's team was small, just 5 people digging in the dirt of an alien world. They had found some interesting things: old tools, broken pottery, strange metal objects. Nothing special, nothing that would change the galaxy. Or so they thought. Dr. Caroline Wells was Kevin's chief engineer. She was good with machines and computers. Caroline had been complaining about the strange readings their equipment was getting. "Kevin, these sensors are going crazy," she said. "It's like something underground is waking up." Kevin wiped sweat from his face. The dig site was hot and dusty. They had been working for 12 hours straight, trying to reach a chamber their ground-penetrating radar had found. "Maybe it's just mineral deposits," he said. But deep down, he knew it was something else. Tony Martinez was operating the drilling equipment. He was a big man with strong arms and a loud laugh, but today he was not laughing. "Dr. Murphy, you need to see this," Tony called out. "The drill just broke through into empty space. There's a room down there." Caroline ran over with her scanning equipment. The readings made her eyes go wide. "Kevin, this chamber is huge, and it's not natural. Someone built this. Someone with very advanced technology." They lowered cameras into the hole. What they saw took their breath away. The chamber was enormous, bigger than a football stadium. The walls were covered in strange symbols that glowed with soft blue light. In the center stood machines that looked like nothing they had ever seen. "We need to get down there," Kevin said. His heart was beating fast. This was the discovery of a lifetime. It took them 2 hours to set up ropes and safety equipment. Kevin went down first. His boots touched the floor of the chamber, and immediately something happened. The blue lights got brighter. The machines started to hum. The symbols on the walls began to move and change. Caroline came down next, then Tony and the rest of the team. They stood in the center of the chamber, looking around in wonder. The machines were beautiful, but strange. They seemed to be made from metal that flowed like water, but was hard as steel. "These aren't just artifacts," Caroline whispered. "These machines are still working. After millions of years, they're still working." Kevin approached one of the machines. As he got closer, the symbols on its surface began to change. They shifted and moved until they formed letters he could read. English letters. The machine was adapting to his language. The words that appeared made him step backward in shock. "Welcome, inheritor. We have been waiting for you." Caroline's equipment started beeping rapidly. "Kevin, something is happening to the machines. They're connecting to our computers. They're downloading our language files, our history, our science. But they're not taking information. They're giving it." Tony pointed to the walls. "Look at those symbols. They're telling a story." The symbols moved like a movie on the wall. They showed a great civilization that had once ruled the galaxy. These people called themselves the predecessors. They had been explorers and builders. They had created wonders throughout space. But the story took a dark turn. Other races had grown jealous of the predecessors. 7 species had formed an alliance against them. They had pretended to be friends while planning betrayal. The symbols showed battles, destroyed worlds, and the fall of a great empire. Kevin felt cold as he realized the truth. "Caroline, the 7 species in the symbols. They look familiar." Caroline was staring at her computer screen. The machines had downloaded information about current galactic politics. They knew about the coalition. They knew about the war that had just started. "Kevin, these are the same 7 races that just attacked humanity. The Zephyrians, the Nexari, the Crudans, all of them. They did this before." The machine in front of Kevin displayed more text. "The betrayers have found new victims. But you are not defenseless. You carry our genetic legacy. You are our children, born from the seeds we planted across the galaxy." Tony's radio crackled to life. It was a message from Earth, but it was fuzzy and broken. "This is Admiral Hayes. All human colonies are under attack. Earth is surrounded. We need help. We need a miracle." Caroline was reading data streaming from the machines. Her face went pale, then excited, then amazed. "Kevin, these machines are showing me blueprints, ship designs, weapon specifications, technology that makes coalition equipment look like stone tools." More machines around the chamber began to activate. The air filled with the sound of humming engines and clicking computers. Lights danced across the walls as ancient systems came back to life. "Why now?" Kevin asked the machine. "Why did you wait until now to wake up?" The answer appeared on the screen. "We programmed our systems to activate when our inheritors faced the same betrayal we did. When the 7 races showed their true nature again. You have the right genetic markers. You have the right spirit. You refused to surrender when others would give up. Kevin felt a surge of hope. Humanity had always been stubborn. They had survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters. They had spread across the galaxy even though they were considered a young and weak race. Maybe that stubbornness was exactly what the predecessors had been looking for. Caroline was now connected directly to the computer systems. Information flowed into her mind faster than she could process it. Kevin, this is incredible. The predecessors hid installations like this throughout human space. They're all activating now. Every human colony that went silent, they didn't get captured. They got protected. The installations are shielding them while downloading predecessor technology. Tony grabbed Kevin's arm. Doc, look at this. He pointed to a section of the chamber where the floor was opening up. Below, they could see massive construction bays. Robot arms were already starting to build something. Ships, weapons, devices they could not even identify. Kevin spoke to the machine again. What do you want us to do? The answer was simple and clear. What humans do best. Fight back, protect your people. Show the galaxy that some things never change. Betrayers will always face justice, and the strong will always protect the weak. Caroline disconnected from the computer and looked at her team. Her eyes were bright with new knowledge. We need to contact Earth. We need to tell them that humanity just became something completely different, something powerful, something the Coalition is going to regret messing with. Kevin nodded. The archaeological expedition had become something much more important. They were not just discovering the past anymore. They were awakening humanity's future. The machines hummed louder. The lights grew brighter. Deep beneath an alien world, technology that had slept for millions of years was preparing for war. And this time, the betrayers would face opponents who had learned from the past and inherited the tools to win. Dr. Lisa Grant sat in her laboratory on Earth, staring at data that made no sense. Kevin Murphy's discovery on Kepler 442b had sent shockwaves through the human scientific community. Ancient machines talking to humans. Technology activating after millions of years. It sounded impossible, but the evidence was right in front of her. The communication from Kevin had been brief, but clear. Lisa, you need to see this. We're not just random inheritors. The predecessors made us. We're their children. Lisa pulled up genetic analysis reports on her computer. She had been studying human DNA for 20 years, but now she was looking at it differently. Hidden in the genetic code were sequences that did not belong to Earth evolution, sequences that matched samples from the predecessor ruins. Computer, show me genetic variance patterns in human populations, she said. The holographic display lit up with complex charts. What she saw made her gasp. Every human on Earth carried the same foreign genetic markers. But more than that, humans scattered across the galaxy showed specific adaptations that matched the environments of worlds where predecessor ruins had been found. Dr. Caroline Wells appeared on her communication screen. Caroline looked tired but excited. She was still on Kepler 442b working with the ancient machines. Lisa, the predecessors didn't just leave us technology. They guided our entire evolution. They planted genetic seeds on Earth millions of years ago, then watched and influenced our development. Lisa felt dizzy. Are you saying we're not really human? We're completely human, Caroline replied. But we're also something more. The predecessors took the best parts of their own genetic code and mixed it with Earth primates. They created a species that would have their curiosity, their stubbornness, and their refusal to give up. Reports were coming in from across human space. Every colony that the Coalition thought they had captured was protected by energy barriers that their weapons could not break. Inside those barriers, ancient installations were awakening and sharing their secrets with human engineers and scientists. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Blake called Lisa from the Vigilant. Dr. Grant, something amazing is happening to our ships. The computer systems are evolving. We're getting access to weapons and defenses we never built. It's like the ship is remembering things it never knew. Lisa checked the reports from other Earth defense ships. The same thing was happening everywhere. Human vessels were becoming more advanced by the hour. Their engines were running more efficiently. Their weapons were hitting harder. Their shields were stronger. Caroline, what exactly did the predecessors do to us? Lisa asked. Caroline's voice was full of wonder. They made us their ultimate backup plan. When the 7 races betrayed them, the predecessors knew they would lose, so they scattered their genetic legacy across the galaxy. They found primitive species on thousands of worlds and gave them the potential to become something greater. But why us? Why did humans succeed when others didn't? Because we never give up, Caroline said simply. The predecessors tested hundreds of species. Most of them accepted defeat when things got hard. They submitted to stronger enemies. They chose safety over freedom. But humans kept fighting even when we had no chance of winning. Lisa thought about human history. Humans had faced extinction many times. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, diseases, wars. But they had always survived. They had always found a way to keep going. Danny Roberts, a civilian engineer working in Nevada, contacted Lisa with news that changed everything. Dr. Grant, we've found something incredible. Those old military projects from the 1950s, the ones marked as failed experiments, they're not failed at all. They're predecessor technology that's been sleeping until now. Lisa flew to Nevada immediately. Danny showed her underground facilities that stretched for miles beneath the desert. Machines that looked like they came from science fiction movies were humming with power. Scientists and engineers were working frantically to understand systems that were teaching themselves. How long have these been here? Lisa asked. Since we started testing nuclear weapons, Danny replied. The predecessors programmed their installations to activate when humans reached certain technological milestones. Nuclear power was one trigger. Space travel was another. And the biggest trigger was when the 7 races showed their true nature. Lisa realized the scope of what was happening. The predecessors have been preparing us for this war our entire history. Communication came in from Admiral Hayes. Dr. Grant, I need you to return to Earth immediately. Captain Morrison's ship has just done something impossible. Lisa took the fastest transport back to Earth. Admiral Hayes met her at the spaceport. Jake's ship destroyed 3 coalition vessels without taking any damage. The aliens couldn't even hit him. It's like his ship exists in a different dimension. They went to the command center where Jake Morrison appeared on the main screen. He was calling from the bridge of the Vigilant, but the ship looked completely different. The walls glowed with soft light. The control panels showed symbols that moved and changed. The crew looked amazed but confident. Admiral Dr. Grant, Jake said, I don't know how to explain what's happening. My ship is teaching me things. It's showing me battle tactics that no human ever learned. It's like I have the memories of 1,000 predecessor generals in my head. Lisa studied the tactical displays. Human ships were moving through space in patterns that seemed impossible. They were avoiding enemy fire before it was even fired. They were appearing behind coalition fleets without using jump gates. Jake, what do the predecessor computers tell you about our chances? Lisa asked. Jake smiled, and it was not a kind smile. They tell me that the 7 races made a big mistake. They attacked us too early. They should have waited until they could destroy all the predecessor installations at once. But they got impatient. They got greedy. And now it's too late. Caroline's voice came through the communication system. Lisa, the machines are showing me the final phase of predecessor planning. They didn't just leave us technology. They left us weapons that can reshape space itself, devices that can move planets, systems that can turn stars into weapons. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. Are you saying we have the power to destroy entire civilizations? We have the power to do whatever we need to do, Jake answered. The question is what we choose to do with it. Admiral Hayes looked at the tactical reports coming in from across the galaxy. Human colonies were not just defending themselves anymore. They were breaking out of their protective barriers and taking the fight to the coalition. Ships with impossible capabilities were appearing everywhere. The predecessors chose well, Hayes said quietly. They gave their power to a species that knows the difference between justice and revenge. Lisa watched the displays showing human fleets spreading across the galaxy. The species that had betrayed and underestimated them were about to learn why the predecessors had chosen humans as their inheritors. The galaxy was about to discover what happened when you pushed humanity too far. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his transformed ship, watching New Terra Colony appear on the main screen. 3 weeks had passed since humanity had awakened to their predecessor heritage. 3 weeks since everything had changed. The Vigilant was no longer the same vessel. It had grown. The predecessor technology had rebuilt it from the inside out, making it faster, stronger, and deadlier than anything the Coalition had ever faced. Jake's fleet now numbered 200 ships, all enhanced with ancient technology that seemed like magic. "Captain, we're getting readings from the colony," reported Lieutenant Sarah Kim, his new tactical officer. "Zephyrian forces have dug in around the main settlement. They have 20 ships in orbit and ground troops controlling the spaceport." Jake studied the tactical display. The Zephyrians had built energy barriers around their positions. They had set up weapon platforms throughout the colony. They thought they were safe behind their defenses. They were wrong. "Lieutenant Commander Blake, take 50 ships and hit their orbital fleet. Use the shadow drive to get behind them," Jake ordered. Ryan Blake commanded his own ship now, the Earth vessel Retribution. Like all human ships, it had been transformed by predecessor technology. "Understood, Captain. Beginning shadow approach." Jake watched as Blake's ship simply vanished from sensors. The shadow drive was predecessor technology that moved ships through a different layer of space. Coalition sensors could not detect them. Coalition weapons could not hit them. Dr. Caroline Wells was aboard the Vigilant now, serving as Chief Technology Officer for the fleet. She was connected to the ship's predecessor systems through neural links that let her communicate directly with the ancient computers. "Jake, the colony barriers are still active. Our people are safe inside, but we need to shut down the Zephyrian jamming field to contact them." "Can you do it?" Jake asked. Caroline smiled. The predecessors dealt with jamming technology millions of years ago. They designed systems that make it impossible to block their communications. She worked at her console for a moment, then nodded. "Done. We're connected to the colony." Commander Sarah Webb's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired and angry, but alive. "Captain Morrison, thank God you're here. The Zephyrians have been trying to break through our barriers for weeks. They're getting frustrated and making threats." "How are your people holding up?" Jake asked. "We're fine. The predecessor installation has been teaching us things. Our engineers now understand technology that would have taken us centuries to develop. Our defense systems are stronger than anything the Zephyrians have." Jake felt pride swell in his chest. Humans were adapting to their new capabilities faster than anyone had expected. "Sarah, we're going to end this today. Stay in your barriers until we give the all clear." Blake's voice came through the communication system. "Captain, we're in position behind the Zephyrian fleet. They have no idea we're here." "All ships, this is Captain Morrison," Jake announced to his fleet. "Today we show the galaxy what happens when you betray humanity. Begin the attack." The space around New Terra Colony erupted into battle. Blake's ships appeared behind the Zephyrian fleet like ghosts, becoming solid. Their weapons, enhanced with predecessor technology, tore through Coalition shields as if they were paper. The Zephyrian ships tried to fight back, but their weapons could not lock on to the human vessels. The shadow drive let human ships move in and out of normal space, making them impossible targets. Within minutes, half the Zephyrian fleet was destroyed. The survivors tried to retreat, but they found their escape route blocked by more human ships that had appeared from nowhere. "Zephyrian vessels, this is Captain Morrison," Jake broadcast on all frequencies. "You have one chance to surrender. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded." The response came from Admiral Kethvar, the Zephyrian fleet commander. "Human, you do not understand what you are dealing with. The Coalition has ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. You are insects pretending to be giants." Jake's expression hardened. "Admiral, let me show you what insects can do." Caroline activated a new predecessor system. The main cannon of the Vigilant began to charge with energy that made space itself ripple. "Jake, this weapon can destroy their entire fleet with one shot. It can also disable them without killing anyone. Your choice." Jake thought about his daughter Emma back on Earth. He thought about all the human children who had been threatened by Coalition forces, but he also thought about the Zephyrian children he had met during the years of peace. Disable them, he decided. But make sure they understand what we could have done. The Vigilant fired a beam of pure energy that washed over the remaining Zephyrian ships. Their weapons powered down, their engines went dead, their life support continued working, but everything else shut down completely. "Admiral Kethvar, your ships are now helpless," Jake announced. "Your weapons are dead, your engines are dead, but your people are alive because I chose mercy. Remember that when you report to your superiors." The ground battle was even more one-sided. Human soldiers equipped with predecessor armor and weapons moved through Zephyrian positions like unstoppable forces. The Coalition troops' energy weapons had no effect on the new human armor. Their barriers collapsed under weapons that could cut through any known material. Within 2 hours, New Terra Colony was free. The Zephyrian survivors were loaded onto transport ships and sent back to Coalition space with a message for their leaders. But the liberation of New Terra was just the beginning. Across human space, similar battles were taking place. Dr. Kevin Murphy led the attack on Mining Station Alpha. Engineer Danny Roberts commanded the fleet that freed Research Post 7. Admiral Patricia Hayes herself led the assault on Trading Hub Omega. The pattern was always the same. Human forces would appear without warning, using technology the Coalition could not understand or counter. They would offer surrender terms. When refused, they would demonstrate overwhelming superiority. Some Coalition commanders chose to surrender. Others chose to fight and were quickly defeated. Caroline was monitoring reports from across the galaxy. "Jake, the psychological impact is as important as the military victories. Coalition forces are terrified. They don't understand how we became so powerful so quickly." "What are their leaders saying?" Jake asked. "Panic, confusion. Some are blaming each other for the failed attack on humanity. Others are demanding to know where we got our new technology. A few are starting to ask if we might be willing to negotiate." Jake looked at the tactical display showing human fleets moving throughout Coalition space. Each fleet was small but incredibly powerful. They were liberating human settlements, but they were also doing something else. They were activating predecessor installations that had been hidden throughout the galaxy for millions of years. "Caroline, how many predecessor sites are there?" "Thousands, maybe tens of thousands. Every strategic location in the galaxy has at least one installation. The predecessors really planned for this day." Reports came in that made Jake smile. The Krugan Empire's invasion fleet had been surrounded and captured intact. The Nexari crystal. Ships had been disabled by weapons that disrupted their energy matrix. The Vorthon swarm fleets had been scattered by devices that created artificial gravity wells, but the most satisfying report came from Dr. Lisa Grant on Earth. "Jake, we've been analyzing Coalition communications. Some of their member species are starting to question the war. They're realizing that attacking humanity might have been a mistake." "Are any of them ready to break with the Coalition?" Jake asked. 3 species have sent secret messages asking about surrender terms. They're scared, Jake. They're starting to understand that they picked a fight with something much bigger than they realized. Jake thought about the months ahead. Humanity now had the power to defeat the Coalition completely. They could conquer every alien world. They could rule the galaxy by force. But that was not what humans did. That was not what the predecessors had intended. "Open a channel to all coalition leaders," Jake ordered. "It's time to give them a choice, the same choice they gave us, but unlike them, we're going to mean it when we offer mercy." The transmission went out across the galaxy. The message was simple and clear. The coalition could continue fighting and face complete destruction, or they could surrender and help build a new galactic order based on cooperation instead of domination. The age of coalition rule was ending. The age of human leadership was beginning.